jumping on. And then half of the time this Instagram doesn't really work. So there we go. Yeah, buddy.
What's going on?
What's up, bro? I see it's dark by you. I'm looking outside. It's dark. Crushing it.
Crazy. It's crazy here. It's like 6 o'clock and it's already like night. Like go to work. This is the kind of that time of the year, the strength coach that it's
Yes.
really a little bit depressing. You go to work, it's dark. You come home, it's dark.
I know it's tough, man.
So,
I need the sun. That's why eventually you're going to need to open a sports advantage in the Carolinas. And I know you go to Florida a lot. You're going to have to get out of state.
hey, come to the Underground Strength Con. You'll find out why that may or may not be a possibility.
Yes. Undergroundstrengthcon.com. So,
Let's
Brian,
go.
I always tell people, I'm like, I don't know. Is Brian opening his 8th or 9th facility? How many locations do you have?
So technically we have 7.
Yes.
We had one that we relocated, so we have 7 right now. And we're in the process right now, and it's something I've learned a little bit along the way is start to plan ahead. So we've got a few locations that we're scoping out for the next year or two and getting some good processes in place. And I'm really lucky right now. We have some, I would say, a really great crop of newer coaches, younger coaches that are really hungry to
Yep.
learn, which is unique. Zach, we've talked about that, is finding younger coaches who really want to be servant leaders. And we have some of them right now. And so, my thing is, how can we enhance their quality of life? How can we give them opportunities to lead and do things, to continue to grow themselves, but also to support our vision of what we're trying to do as a company, and then our mission, to make Wisconsin the mecca of strength and conditioning. That's our mission.
Yep.
It's a big
So
mission.
leadership, team building. I was just on a Instagram live with Matt Wiedemer. He will
Yep.
be speaking also at Underground Strength Con. And we spoke about community and culture. And ironically, I told him those words get thrown around a lot, especially in strength and conditioning field. Whereas Matt, he said, predominantly his business is a lot of personal training. One of his gyms is 24/7. Matt started in strength and conditioning working under Buddy Morris for the Cleveland Browns. So what's, with having 7 locations and more coming, what do you think about when you share the words with your team, culture and or community?
So as those of us that have been in the game for a while, culture's not the writing on the wall. All right. It's the actions in the hall, essentially. Okay. It's your day-to-day activities. It's how you carry yourself. I just had a meeting with, some of our athletes last night. And at the end of the day, to me, like our identity, our culture is defined when nobody's watching. Right. I mean, anybody can work hard when the boss walks in the gym.
Yep.
Anybody can, like if you have a rule on what kind of music you're allowed to play, like all of a sudden maybe there's expletives and different things like that. The boss walks in, you turn it off. Like that's what your culture is, right? You're trying to get away with shit that at the end of the day, like you're not supposed to be. And that's where shortcuts come in. And so like our culture that we preach is it's 24/7. How you do anything is how you do everything. Standards, things like that. And I actually challenged my staff in our last staff meeting. I want to know what our identity is when we go into 2026. What's our identity? What are we all about? As a team, as a group, and things like that. But too many people are copycatting, and anybody can copy Nick Saban's lines, right? I love Nick Saban to death, but Nick, he's one of one. You know what I mean? He's one of one. So you have to take the things like a guy like a Nick Saban says, or like a Tim Grover, or like a Andy Frisella, and you have to see where that fits in you, not copy it, because we're not them. I'm not them. They're not me. Zach, I'm not you. You're not me. We share a lot of the same beliefs.
Right.
We go about things, a little differently than I do. Our goal is the same, but we have to be authentic. And I did that on my last Thursday tip that I do every Thursday. Like you have to freaking be authentic. You have to be who you are if you're going to be a great coach and a great leader, because kids nowadays will see through that. And so that is really important. Like your culture in a private setting, not many people are preaching that. They're preaching what's our bottom line, how many kids can we get in the door per capita, and to me, it's more about the experience that we're providing for these young men and women.
I love it. You give me a lot of clarity just by saying those things, talking about the culture and what's really important and not what's written on the walls. And I got to tell you, this year, is the first year this is 1 year of me stepping away, Brian, as being on the floor and bringing in a head coach who's in full time. And so I feel like sometimes I've lost a little, kind of like the stuff you're saying, like meaning we opened and started adult strength training. And so, of course, now I'm paying somebody's salary. I'm trying to grow somebody else's salary. So I'm looking much more at the numbers. Whereas when I didn't have full-time guys working, I was all about just like, we're going to build bad MFers. And I felt like I lost a little bit of that. Have you ever felt like you lost a little bit of the focus about what's important, especially through expansion? And how did you kind of recenter yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a really fine line. I think, and I'm going to talk about this, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, whenever I speak, I don't even know, Zach. You just tell me when to get up and talk, and I'll be ready to go. But, from my perspective, when people say, you as a CEO or a president or an owner, you need to be working on the business, not in the business. I understand what you're saying, but there's part bullshit to that. You got to be in it. You still have to be in there day to day in some capacity. That doesn't mean that you're running groups every day, but it does mean that you're seeing the kids. You're touching families. You're there. For me, like one of the best things that happened to me, last year I got to start training, the Love Madison Pro team. So that
Yeah.
got me back in the team setting, and then that got me into the club setting over at Madtown. So I was there with over 600, young volleyball players. And so, to me, that's one of the things that, I understand. In order for us to grow, there's got to be me working on the business, but at some point, you just can't take the coach out of the coach. You know what I mean? And you just, there's got to be that a little, because that's what drives us, Zach. That's what makes you who you are, right? You're a coach first, right? Entrepreneur, businessman, yes, but at the end of the day, you tie your shoes as a coach just like I do. And I think that's really important for people to understand, that you still have to be there. You still have to, see the kids. There's new kids that are coming in daily. And I think that that's really important.
What stressed me out the most, Brian, is not coaching as much.
Hell yeah.
I mean, people would think, oh, it must be stressful managing the business, the numbers, the money. Most stressful is stepping away, not being on the floor as much. And Brian, you and I have been coaching for kind of a similar time frame. I've been I started, underground in '02. And so only in 2024 did 22 years of being on the floor. Most people are off the floor. Some business guys open a gym and they're not on the floor at all. They just have the coaches. So have you guys, with somebody asked a question, one of my old coaches, Tony, said, you still recommend the 3-sport athlete? And I've heard you speak about this on your podcast, which I love your podcast with Dean. I love it. I think you had mentioned, I can't remember how recent it was, that it's getting really hard to encourage the multiple sports. And you're a baseball, that was your thing. You were a college baseball player. You guys got a travel team. It's hard for these kids to try to do another sport, because then if they want to do the travel, like in the spring, let's say I am a basketball player who also wants to play baseball. Well, in the spring, you got to be on the AAU travel team, and it's getting tough. Has all this travel stuff at all negatively or any kind of impact on the business because of how busy the kids are?
Oh, I think it has. And I don't think it's because that the kids are so busy. I think the parents are uneducated on what the real important things that their kids need to be doing. We encourage kids. You want to play college sports, great. But at the end of the day, like, you need to act like a college athlete now, not when you get in college, which means you need to train 3 to 4 days a week year round. At the end of the day, you're a developmental athlete, a 15, 16-year-old, whether he's on the varsity or she is on the varsity or not, they're still developmental athletes. Hell, kids in college are still developmental. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
And if you are, and parents, if you're listening, if your son or daughter cannot handle training for 45 minutes to an hour during their competitive season, they probably shouldn't be an athlete. And that's strong words, but at the end of the day, like, they probably shouldn't. And I'm a firm believer in kids, go play as much as you can, play until they tell you that you can't. Um, the one thing that I would say on that, Zach, is, and we have a kid in our baseball program. He's a catcher. He's already getting looks by mid majors. He's got to make a decision. He wants to play college baseball. My suggestion to him was, you know what, you're a little undersized. That you got to give yourself a chance to do that. Maybe, not going out for the second sport in your junior year. It's time to start focusing
Yes.
on that. But if you're not getting recruited as a high school kid, as a sophomore, you need to still be playing multiple sports,
Nice.
because there are very few kids. And I worked with a kid by the name of Trey Poteet. Trey's he committed to Tennessee. He walked in my gym as a freshman. He wasn't built like a Division I football, but he carried himself. I knew he was going to play Division I football. He still played basketball for 3 years. You know
Love
what I mean? There's just those kids that right? You've seen them. You're like, this kid's gonna be playing on Saturday. This kid's
Yes.
gonna be pitching in college. This, that. So there's very few of those kids walking around. So parents, like, educate yourself. Like, if your son or daughter takes 3 months off of training, and we talk about this, like, with summer training, right? Every school runs these great summer programs, 6 to 8 weeks. The kids are in 4 days a week. They're training. And then they get to the fall. Oh, we don't want you to lift for 3 months. You know what, coaches? That's more freaking detrimental than not having them train at all in the summer. I would rather
Yeah.
see kids not train in the summer and go into their fall sport if they're not going to lift, because the detraining effect that it has on their body, the kids need to work harder, and they typically go mechanically out of line, and that's where more injuries occur, because they're weaker, they've detrained, and they have to work harder to produce more force, and that's where overtraining or overuse injuries occur, because they've lost everything they gained.
They can't. It's also something, the transfer of training we often talk about, but after a month of no strength training, you and I have seen it, confidence goes down big time. They start to question, why do I not feel strong? Why am I always so sore? Why does this practice beat me up? I felt good a couple weeks ago. Well, you're losing
Yeah,
your capacity. And so I find that interesting. One thing that I really loved, I heard you mention it years ago on your podcast. Do you guys still do the 6 a.m. Before school workout?
absolutely.
Or what time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
5:45 or 6 a.m.
Yeah, in Wanakee, we have 5:30 a.m.
Athletes
and
or adults?
athletes. And we have 2 kids now that have been training with us in Wanakee for over 3 years. And right now, I believe the kid is in ninth grade. So that tells you, in sixth grade, he was there 4 days a week at 5:30 in the morning. And, like, I get the, people are going to say, training in the morning, you get sleep, this, that. You know what? Go to bed earlier.
That's right.
Go to bed earlier. You know what I mean? I don't buy that. I don't buy, that there's one certain time that everybody should train. It really is what works with your schedule. And if it's important to you, you'll get your ass out of bed,
You know
because at
what?
the end, yeah, you know what I mean, Zach? I mean, get out of bed.
If also when you are training in the morning, you're not going to spend. I tell kids, I go, you might be in bed at 10 p.m., but some of you are on your phone till midnight. I
Correct.
said, that's 2 hours a day. That's 10 hours Monday through Friday. That's 40 hours a month. You just did a full-time job laying on your phone. Joe DeSena says the same thing. Everybody's like, oh, they got to sleep. Okay, go to bed earlier. You're
Yeah.
less likely to waste that time at night. My daughter's a freshman in college now, and she's had a good number of 6 a.m. workouts. And I have a buddy at Princeton, and he said this is very common in the Ivies and what they call it, like a junior Ivy, they say from 6 to 9. Also, the military academies, 6 to 9 were packed, 6 to 10 a.m. packed. Then the kids are in class, and then mid afternoon till about dinner, packed again. So you're either doing it before or after. So I like that you guys are doing it in the morning. I'm gonna mention that to our parents, like, hey, we train adults at 5:45, but if you're an athlete, come and get some.
Yeah, I mean, there's no dentist appointments at 6 a.m. during the week.
A
You know
hundred
what I mean?
percent. What anything new like the past year that you've changed your mind on, Brian, whether it's training or business,
Oh man.
or maybe came
Well,
back to? Like
wow.
sometimes I catch myself saying, man, we got to get tougher. We
You know
need
what?
more hard
I'll
shit.
say this: like everybody knows we do the conjugate method, but within the conjugate method, there's different ways to do things. I've gravitated to a lot of my schools, my consulting this quarter to going with the Jim Wendler 5-3-1.
Really nice.
Yeah, I've always had kids have great results doing that.
And
Um,
the supplemental work, are you doing like conjugate exercise selection with it?
yeah, yep,
Okay.
yep. So really, like what I'm doing with that is I picked really four exercises that we're really going to focus on as far as main exercises, and just see where we can go with those four exercises. And then and then we rotate all of our auxiliaries and things like that. But I'm just I think that the fun thing about being a strength coach, right, is you can play around with some different concepts. You can intermix them a little bit.
Yes.
So I've always liked that. I've always come back to that for younger kids to build strength. Um, business wise, one of the things that I'm doing that probably most CEOs don't do is, like, if there are, you know, we run Facebook ads, we run ads for this and things like that. And if we've gone like a month or over a month where, someone may have filled out something like that, I personally message them if
Hmm.
they haven't responded. It's because sometimes people don't respond, and
Sure.
they ghost you or whatever. And so now I've taken the onus on some of our gyms to, I'll send them a message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like to me, no one's too important to take out the trash. You know
Dude,
what I mean? That's like a saying that we have that I believe in. It's like everybody can do the little things. You know what I mean? And so, like, for me, if I can contribute that way to help some of our directors out on some of those follow-ups and things like that, just grassroots stuff. I've always done that though, Zach. My cell phone is on the website.
me too.
I've never changed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. And it reminds me, we have, a spreadsheet for Underground Strength Con of who signed up for more info, gave an email. And you know what I do is I text them, Brian, a video message. And the world is
I
so quote
love that.
unquote busy. Most people don't even respond. I'd say like 19 out of 20 people, 1 out of 20 will actually respond. So I'll say, Brian, this is Zach Evnesh, video messaging you from my phone. I saw you signed up for more info. Any questions you have, message me back. And I think coaches, they really fear going out of their house, literally,
Go.
to learn more. And now I'm remembering you used to bring Laura Phelps either to your gym or you would visit her and do have educational seminars for your staff. And it's so interesting because you had coached at Wisconsin, which is a Big Ten school, which they say is like that's where everybody wants to coach. You were there for like 14 years. I mean, technically, Brian.
I don't know after watching what I've seen the last month if a lot of people want to coach there. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Oh, that's
Go ahead.
big dude. Big Ten is freaking.
Yeah, the Big Ten is where it's at.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. I gotta say, Brian, I don't know what's going on with college football anymore with all this transfer, but the bottom line is like you came with this heavy duty knowledge, and you're like, hey man, we all have to get better. And I also thought it was interesting. You said parents are not educated, and Brian, how many more thousands, tens of thousands of videos do we need to make talking about in season training? for like I think the information is there. I think people live their life the way they swipe through their phone. Every 5 seconds, all over the place. It's really hard to educate people now. So I was just remembering about how you would. What did you guys do? Laura would come to one of your gyms, or how did
Yeah.
you do that?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where I was like, I want to find somebody that is exceptional in the craft of training, but also highly respected, conjugate based, things like that. And, the first, I obviously followed West Side, got a lot of ties there, over the last few years to been on their podcast. Um, and I just kind of, looked up, her stuff, and she's like, does seminars.
Yep.
Literally messaged her like through, I think I messaged her through Instagram or through her page. She got back to me right away. We got on a call. I was like, I want to bring you out. Um, and I think the unique thing, Zach, for a lot of coaches out there, right? I think every coach we had watching her was a male, and we had, the strongest woman probably to ever compete, teaching us what to do. And I think what I wanted to do is break stigmas,
Yes.
right? It's, if you can coach, male or female. If you're strong, male or female. If you can teach it, you're great, male or female. And that was something that was really important to me to show our guys. And then at the end of the day, it was like really like a little small piece. It was freaking really cool to have her there. you
Yeah.
know,
So
picked her
well
up from the
spoken.
airport. Me and my wife took her down to the Old Fashioned down to Madison. She wanted to get cheese curds. We gave her the experience. Took her to a couple of the gyms. She spent a lot of time with us, and she's become a really good friend of mine. Like we messaged back and forth. We went to visit the Bengals a few years ago. I took some of my staff there. We went to watch her and Leah Reichman. Leah, I think, broke some of her records. And just just a great person, and that's what strength and conditioning is all about. And that's really, to me, what I'm finding out more and more is what the undergroundstrengthcon.com conference and seminar, whatever you want to call it's about, right? It's
It's
about
you,
people.
oh,
It's
you know
people.
what? Last year, Brian, coaches were crying, and they were like, I was coming here because I wanted to be better at coaching. I wanted to learn business. And some of them were crying because they're like, man, I needed this for my soul. And I feel that we get so into the phone and we think that's how we're connecting. But listen, how did you and I meet? Through the internet, through social. But when you get the in-person experiences, Tony Robbins, I learned from him in the late 90s. Yeah, it was like 99, 2000. He said nothing heightens the human experience more than getting together and being around other people. And I think we need it because business is stressful, life is stressful, and so Underground Strength Con is like it's an experience, it's education, of course, but it's almost like a vacation away from the stuff that's kind of stressful, and then you just get invigorated. And to me, I think too, I'm kind of jealous. People always say, "Oh, you grew up in the wrong era." Like the York barbell strength picnics, the gathering of lifters, and I go every year down to Sorinex for Summer Strong. And one year, I didn't go, and I really regretted it because I realized, man, you've been going since I think I've gone like 13, 14 times. And I realized when I come back, I'm better at life. I'm better as a dad. I'm better as a husband. And also, people need a little break from me. So, well, I know you go to Florida. What are some other things you
Oh.
do to kind of regroup and reinvigorate you outside outside of strength and conditioning?
I go to concerts. That's my
And Chesney.
yeah, Kenny Chesney, you bet. Yeah, I think my wife and I have really made a concerted effort to do those things. Like I am a beach guy. Like I could lay on the beach, I could sit on the beach, I could sit in a beach bar, drink foo drinks. But it shuts me off
Yes.
from everything else. Now, we also know, Zach, that like when you come back, then it's like, whew, you know what I mean? But I take I'm blessed to be able to
Yep.
come back to chaos. I'm blessed to be able to come back to a lot of stuff to catch up on. You know what I mean? It would really be bad if, like, me and my wife were going to go to Antigua in January,
Yep.
like five days. It would really be bad if I came back and there was really nothing to catch up on, right? Because then the business isn't doing what it's supposed to be. So I'm
That's
really
right.
blessed with that. And the other thing that for me has always been um, really, really, really good for my soul is live music. I absolutely love live music. I try to go to 2 or 3 concerts a year. Like this
Nice.
summer, again, my wife has been really instrumental in getting me into these breaks because I was always a person that's like, no, 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 work, work, work. But
Right.
she got me to go to the Morgan Wallen show in Madison, and I tell you what, I mean, it was like 3 or 2.5 hours of just, man, it was awesome. And it's just, to me, it's one of those things where I just can kind of be, you know, um, kind of like my 18-year-old self again, and just let the hair, let the lack of hair down, but just go and have a good time.
Yes.
Where you don't like. I've also gotten to the point, Zach, where yeah, I like to shoot videos at concerts every now and then, but I've also gotten to the point where it's like, man, I just want to take this in.
Yes.
I want
Oh,
to enjoy it. I want to take it in. I went to a couple years ago. I went to Luke Combs at American at Miller Park. I still call it Miller Park. And after like the third song, I'm like, man, I just got my phone out the whole damn time, videotape. Like, I'm gonna take this guy in. Like, this guy is awesome, And so I've really tried to do that, when I go to shows.
yeah. For me, it's like I like when we go to Lake George. I rent the
Yeah,
boat for the whole week, and I like that my phone doesn't work good up there. So I believe this is probably the case really for all entrepreneurs. Is you need to step away. You need to go to places and do things where you're not using the phone. The connection is all in person. And you mentioned like coming back to chaos. Dan Kennedy has a famous quote: "Success is cooked up in a messy kitchen," and meaning
I
you're
love
you
that.
you think I can't go to Underground Strength Con. I got this going on, that going on. Well, that's probably exactly why you need to go. So you're forced to implement systems. Or I remember my family, we were going to Turks and Caicos, was stressing out over the business, the gym, the online business. And when I went back then, like my phone plan didn't have a international plan, so I just didn't have a phone for a week. I came back, my God, like my work capacity in business went through the roof, like work capacity and training. And so you need to get away and get outside of your environment. That's what successful people do. Same thing with athletes, right? I always say coaches. You ever hear coaches? What do we tell kids, Brian? Get out of your comfort zone. Keep showing up. Then when a coach has the opportunity to maybe learn from Laura Phelps, or it was like the people that would go to Westside Barbell. Louis said, I don't want to talk with the guy that just sits in the corner and watch. You come here, you're training.
Yeah, I mean, we have, like, Zach, we have open invite in our gyms. High school coaches, you can come, you can show up
Me too.
whenever.
How many show up? How many show up?
Very little do, right?
I,
Because at the end of the day, high school coaches fear what they don't know. You know what I
it's
mean?
so weird. I
It
wish,
is.
I wish that when I was getting into this, coaches would have done that. But in my early days of getting into the business, Brian, the early 2000s, before you got on, I told people if I wanted to communicate with Brian Bott, I'd have to pay to enter the Brian Bott private web form. I'd have to pay to get on the phone with you. I couldn't find your email anywhere. I couldn't see anything you were posting. And that's the way it was. You would pay. And so I really valued any information somebody would share. I still do it, but we have an open door for any coach. If you're a sport coach, I'd love for them to train with us. Can't remember the last time a sport coach came through the doors of the underground. I,
Yeah.
I hate to say it. That's pretty sad to say.
Yeah, I think it is unfortunate, right? Because um, sport coaches spend so much time on the X's and O's that they really don't take the time to, like you said, get out of their comfort zone, learn something new. Most of them, when they hear concepts, especially like conjugate, like we do, people don't understand it. They don't, well, the dynamic, well, it's light. No, it's supposed to be light. It's supposed to be fast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's like such a contradiction, in mindset. Like I hear this with high school coaches. Well, it's not always about getting strong, but then we want to max out every 8 weeks. Well, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like if it's not about being strong, then let us train the kids and let's train into their strength versus keep searching for a number that every 8 weeks you're testing, but at the same time, it's not about being strong. What I found is this, Zach: people that fear getting kids strong look or don't know how to get kids strong, look for reasons why strength isn't important. So then they become
Bingo.
speed gurus and they become all these other gurus, because you can tell somebody how to run. You can do this and well, I'm a speed guy. Well, speed is still force production, right? And you have to have strength to produce force.
And
So
vice
I really
versa. Yeah.
find that it's crazy.
Right. It's like all this polarizing
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Jeff Crable, who's commenting there, he did my cert years ago. It's right. People are
He's
afraid.
all over this.
It's okay to say, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here to get better for my kids. And by the way, like this year's Underground Strength Con, we're honoring Louis Simmons, Westside Barbell. Man, Louis was on the phone with me every week. But I think he did it because he knew I was taking the information and applying it. He knew I valued it. Today, I kind of fear people who are like messages, and I've answered that question thousands of times on a podcast or it's out there, and they're saying, I don't want to research it. Just tell me the answer. I want
Yeah.
people to research because I know when you do that work, you'll value it more. So listen, I know you got to cut out, my bro. Undergroundstrengthcon.com coming up
Let's
soon.
go.
Brian gonna be a speaker. Just did a Instagram live with Matt Wiedemer. I cannot wait to see you, my bro, and welcoming you to the. You're technically in New York, but you're really gonna be in New Jersey. It's like a minute away.
I can't. I can't wait, Zach. I mean, it's something that you and I have talked about now for 2 years about coming
Yes,
out. I'm really excited. The lineup of people that are speaking, but just on some of the other people that I know are coming. Like it's not just the speakers, everybody. It's the people that are in the room,
people.
and
Yes.
this is going to be a big time event. So if you're a strength coach and you want to get better, this is something, and it's not expensive to do. Like the cost for knowledge, is very minimal for what you're going to get out of this, and so um, at the end of the day, I'm just really blessed. I'm so grateful, Zach, for our relationship. Like you reached out to me, um, a couple years ago, which,
Yes.
like to me, like I just want to share this before I get off, Zach.
I remember.
That was one of the most powerful messages I've ever gotten because of how much I respect you and what you've done. And for you to message me and say, hey, man, I've been watching your videos and you guys do some really good stuff. I'd like to get on the phone with you.
Well, I said I
Like,
would pay you for your time. I was gonna. I
yeah,
tell people when I
you
reach
did.
out, I said, Brian, I will pay you for a consultation.
Yeah. And to me, that was like a huge moment for us because like when people that know how to do it right, you know, like the whatever the kids say nowadays, game recognizes game or whatever. To me, that was really powerful, Zach, and I can't tell you how much that meant to me when you just reached out to me. And so I appreciate it, man. I can't wait. I got a little video that I got set ready to go. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And
We're
I'm
gonna have
telling you what now, I can eat some pizza. So like I'm ready to go.
Friday night gathering with the sponsors and speakers. It's going to be awesome. And then the event, yeah, man, it's going to be crazy. It's a very, it's like so much hype inside of you that when it's over, you kind of crash. God, it's a little bit heartbreaking when it ends, but
Yep.
these moments are important. I can't wait to meet you, my bro. I'll see you in the middle of November, Underground Strength Con. Everybody watching, listening, make sure you follow Brian. All you got to look up is Sports Advantage. I'm going to, in the YouTube video and on my website, Brian's Instagram is going to be linked below, so you could follow him, learn from him, and we hope to see everybody at Underground Strength Con. We'll see you later, Brian. Thank you, my
Hey,
bro.
brother.
Bye.